This is Abe Friedtanzer from Awards Buzz. Very excited to be speaking with Adam Brody about Nobody Wants This. How are you, Adam?
I'm great. How you doing?
Good. Before you took on this role, what did you think you knew about what it meant to be a rabbi?
Um, Very little. I mean, I still don't know if I fully understand what it means to be a rabbi or your day-to-day duties, but I do have a much better understanding of Jewish history, and than I did, for whatever that's worth. It was a low bar because I didn't know much. Um, um, so yeah. I knew I had work to do. It was a role that I've procrastinated a lifetime for.
What kind of research did you do and what surprised you most in what you learned?
Um, I did a lot of I had a lot of time to do it. These strikes happened between, when I agreed to do this and when we filmed it. And I listened to a lot of podcasts. I read a lot and I watched a lot of, movies and documentaries. And what surprised me the most? Well, Um, I think the sense, as I understand it, as I've come to interpret it, rightly or wrongly, the sense of history in the Jewish religion and culture, the sense of, this unbroken chain from then to now, and the real emphasis on that, and the emphasis on this unbroken traditions, made it very interesting to kind of look backward and go back in time with. Yeah.
Well, some of the moments that I really like from the show are when Noah, has things like Havdalah that he wants to be able to share with Joanne. Have there been things that have made it into your own life in terms of your own personal practice as a result of this role?
What have I interpreted? No, not in day-to-day practice. But I do, like I said, I walk around with this much fuller understanding of Judaism and Jewish culture and Jewish history than I did previous to this. And all of a sudden my antenna is up and I just see things that mean more to me or are more relevant to me. Now that I feel like I've been sort of inserted myself much more consciously into the story.
I feel like Noah also has, he has his family that's, into Jewish culture. He has the basketball team that he's on, but otherwise he doesn't seem to have a really present Jewish circle outside of his work. Did you feel that for him?
No, I think those are his circles. I think I think he's close with his family. I think those guys on his team are his pals. And then I don't know that he has, he had his almost fiance, in the beginning. So yeah, I mean, I think everyone, more or less, everyone he was surrounded and by was Jewish.
Well, I do love the romance that he begins with Joanne. There's a lot of, build up to it. What was it like getting to work with Kristen Bell? And obviously you were both, on TV originally around the same
Yeah,
time on different
yeah,
networks. What
yeah.
was it like to get to work together?
It's very great to get to work with Kristen. I think anyone who's ever worked with her can attest to that. She's a light. She's a joy. She's a cheerleader. She's immensely talented. And that's almost, I don't want to say it's like an afterthought, but it's like she's such a wonderful coworker that, you almost take the talent for granted. But she's a flawless actor and comedian, very funny. Um, but uh, but yeah, she's like a great pal. I'm so lucky to count her as a friend.
It's nice when things are going well for them as a couple, but it's also very interesting to watch when things aren't great. Did you enjoy navigating the moments where it was a lot more uncomfortable?
Yeah, yeah. It was a lovely balance for me, I think for her as well. And I think it's something that we probably excel at tonally, which is, comedy, but grounded comedy that, dips its toe in drama and some weightier stuff. I think it's very fun to shift gears.
I also really like Timothy Simons as Noah's brother. I think he's a lot of comic relief, but it's fun to see, especially the idea that, he's the loser sibling. What was it like getting to work with him?
He's also a wonder. This whole cast is really, really like it's one of the more friendly affairs I've been in. He's wonderful. He's funny. He's at once, I felt like we got to know each other so fast. I had met him briefly before and liked him instantly when we met. We had dinner together with a few other people years ago, and I just loved him instantly. And we got along so well. And that's the case to this day. He's also immensely talented. We haven't even seen in the show, he also has wonderful dramatic chops that, he'll, I'm sure, be able to showcase in future seasons. But he's also just a brilliant comedian and a real MVP too. It's like when you need a beginning, middle, and end that's funny, that maybe isn't even there yet on the page. You just send him in, and don't call cut, and we'll get something.
I also imagine that working with Tova Felcha and Paul Ben Victor as your parents, the reaction to meeting them and sharing a scene has to be sort of like what Joanne felt in terms of intimidation and uncertainty.
No, not for me because I don't know if it's method on her part, but Tova definitely treats me as the golden child that I am in the show. And Paul and I actually live close to each other, and he was great. He like really he's younger than my real dad's age, but in physicality actually reminds me of my dad's dad a lot. And so weirdly there was just some like familiarity there to me, even without knowing him, some family familiarity to me. Um, and yeah, no, that was quite natural, quite an easy fit, and also lovely humans to work with.
Well, obviously, as one of the leads, you get to interact with most of the cast, but is there anybody you haven't really shared enough scenes with that you'd like to do more with, even if it doesn't make sense story-wise?
Yeah, honestly, everyone. I'd say first up, Justine and I barely got to work together. I would do more of that. But I would love some more time with everyone. Jackie, Sherry. It's a great group, and that's the beauty of, television. I'm sure we will.
Well, I like that you said future seasons before. I don't think that you know anything we don't know in terms of future renewals, but I know season
Yeah,
two
yeah,
is
yeah,
um
yeah.
without
Well,
getting you in trouble.
I'm putting it out there. I'm
Well,
optimistic.
do you have any sense of where season two is headed without getting me or you in trouble?
Not really, not really. I honestly don't. I'm sort of blissfully unaware. I almost don't want to know, to be honest with you. Not because it would be hard not to tell people, but just because, you know, I don't know. It's like I can just imagine the best, and then once I see it, then we're gonna have to get to work. And like right now, I don't have to work on anything. I don't have to think about anything. I'm still just like in vacation mode. And if I see it, then all of a sudden I'm gonna start having ideas, and I don't want to have any ideas yet.
Well, I, like many others, started watching you on the OC, 2 decades ago when I was still in high school. And I had a friend who mentioned to me that Chrismica is, a very memorable part of that show and thinks that that's something that could actually work well for Noah and Joanne in the future. Do you think that's
Oh boy,
possibly where
I
we're
hadn't
headed?
even thought of that. Gosh, I mean, you really get meta if you go down that road. I mean, it could certainly work, but I think, well, listen, no, I don't think it'll work actually, because he's a rabbi and he wants her to. I don't think he would be opposed to a Christmas tree and some Christian iconography or, holiday traditions as well. But I do think he would find it somewhat sacrilege, being the rabbi, passionate rabbi that he is, to actually mash up the two. Um, those are my thoughts on that. And also, if we did, I think you'd get into a meta place that I don't know if we're ready to go down that rabbit hole. But regardless, I don't think he would be open to that iteration of it.
I also don't think, I mean, she's not particularly Christian. Like, it's not like Christmas means anything to her.
True. Fair enough.
Well, I do think that there's a big audience that is very fond of the OC and very fond of Nobody Wants This. And obviously, these are things that, polar ends of your career. Do you feel like there's anything similar about the filming experience or how TV is between then and now?
I think the success of it feels similar. The success of it and the sort of the OC was full of romance as well. And so I think the demographics are actually similar as well. I mean, I think probably more people watching Nobody Wants This watched the OC when they were kids, are older now. But at the same time, I think there's overlap in both directions. I think there's some, for lack of a better word, kids that are watching the OC for the first time that are also watching Nobody Wants This. But yeah, I think the sort of instant absorption into the culture feels very reminiscent.
Well, before I let you go, since we're pretty much out of time, is there anything you've been watching lately, a TV show that's really stuck with you as particularly awards worthy and impressive?
Oh, what a great question. Um, I just saw A Real Pain yesterday, a movie, and I loved it. And I got to know Jesse a bit from Fleischman is in Trouble, and I've always been such a huge fan of his. And I thought he directed it phenomenally well. Um, Shows. What have I seen? I was just watching on the plane. I'm only halfway through the Elizabeth Taylor documentary about with her like home recordings, and I thought that was really fascinating and wonderful. Um, and what else? Name some other shows. Trying to
There's
get
plenty
trying
of lots of good stuff.
Yeah, I'm just going like backwards through what I've seen. I saw mostly movies for the moment. I saw The Apprentice recently and like that, the movie. Thought that was really good. Um, anyway, I know you asked TV and I gave you movies, but
No, I appreciate it. That's great. And I really appreciate this. Look forward to talking to you again for future seasons.
okay, likewise. Thanks a lot.